Picture this: a classroom of 25 preschoolers and not a single tantrum in sight. Sounds impossible, right? But Montessori teachers do this every single day. And here's what shocked me: these aren't magic tricks or bribery tactics. They're scientifically backed methods that work in under 60 seconds. I spent 3 months shadowing 5 veteran Montessori educators, and what I discovered will completely transform how you handle meltdowns. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll have 5 secret weapons that most parents don't even know exist. And the best part? You can start using them today. Number 1. The name and validate technique. Why fighting emotions makes everything worse. Here's something most parents get catastrophically wrong. We try to stop the emotion instead of acknowledging it. You know what's crazy? When a child is melting down, their amygdala, the emotional center of the brain, is literally hijacking their prefrontal cortex. They're in full survival mode. Montessori teachers use what I call the name and validate technique, and it's devastatingly simple. When a child starts escalating, they get down to eye level, make gentle eye contact, and say something like, "I see you're feeling really frustrated right now. Your body is telling me you're upset." That's it. No calm down. No stop crying. Just pure acknowledgement. Here's why this works. Dr. Dan Siegel, a clinical professor of psychiatry at UCLA, calls this name it to tame it. When you label an emotion, you actually activate the thinking part of the brain, which helps regulate the emotional part. It's neuroscience, not magic. I watched a Montessori teacher use this with a 4-year-old who was screaming because another child took his toy truck. She knelt down and said, "Wow, you're really angry that Jake has your truck. Your face is red and your fists are tight. That's how our bodies feel when we're mad." The kid stopped mid-scream, not because the problem was solved, but because someone finally understood him. Key takeaway: don't try to fix the emotion. Name it, validate it, watch the magic happen. But here's the thing: validation alone isn't enough. There's a second layer that makes this technique unstoppable. Number 2. The choice architecture method. Giving power back during powerless moments. Let me tell you something that changed everything for me. Tantrums aren't about the toy, the snack, or the iPad. They're about control, or rather, the lack of it. Children live in a world where adults make 90% of their decisions. When they feel completely powerless, their nervous system panics. And what do? We double down with more control. You will stop crying. You will go to your room. Montessori teachers flip this script entirely. They use choice architecture, offering 2 acceptable options that give the child agency while maintaining boundaries. Here's the formula. You can option A or option B. You choose. Real example I witnessed. A 5-year-old refused to clean up blocks. The teacher calmly said, "You can put the blocks away now and then pick the story we read. Or you can take 2 more minutes to play and I'll choose the story. What works better for you?" The kid thought for 5 seconds and said, "I'll clean up now." Why this works? Harvard research shows that perceived control reduces cortisol, stress hormone levels in children, by up to 40%. When kids feel they have a say, their fight or flight response deactivates. But here's the critical part. Both options must be genuinely acceptable to you. This isn't manipulation, it's collaborative problem solving. I tested this with my nephew, who refused to leave the playground. Instead of dragging him out, my usual approach, honestly, I said, "We're leaving in 2 minutes. You can walk to the car like a superhero, or you can hop like a bunny. Which one?" He bunny hopped all the way to the car, giggling. 0 tears. I almost cried myself. Pro tip: avoid open-ended questions like, "Do you want to leave?" Only offer choices you can live with. Now, you're probably wondering, what if they refuse both options? That's where the next technique becomes absolutely essential. Number 3. The whisper redirect. The counterintuitive volume strategy. Here's where it gets fascinating. When a child is yelling, every parental instinct tells you to yell louder to be heard. Right? We've all been there. I said it's time for bed. Montessori teachers do the exact opposite. They whisper, I know, it sounds absurd. But stick with me. When you whisper during a meltdown, something neurologically interesting happens. The child's brain experiences a pattern interrupt. Their auditory system is expecting escalation, more volume, but instead receives the opposite. This creates cognitive dissonance that momentarily disrupts the tantrum loop. One teacher told me, when I whisper, they have to stop screaming to hear me. And in that pause, that 3-second window, their rational brain can come back online. I watched her use this with twins fighting over a puzzle piece. Instead of raising her voice, she leaned in close and whispered, "Psst, I have a secret about this puzzle that might help." Both kids immediately stopped fighting and leaned in. She whispered, "This puzzle has enough pieces for both of you. Want to see?" The science. According to the Gottman Institute, lowering your voice during conflict reduces defensiveness by 60% in both children and adults. It signals safety instead of threat. But here's the hilarious part. I tried this at a family dinner when my niece was having a meltdown about broccoli. I leaned in and whispered, "Can I tell you a secret about broccoli?" She stopped crying, nodded, and I whispered, "It makes you super strong like Elsa." She ate 3 pieces. My sister-in-law thought I was a wizard. Reality check. This doesn't work if you're already screaming. You have to start the whisper before you lose your cool. Trust me, I learned this the hard way. Quick thing before we dive into the next technique. If you're finding these methods valuable, do me a huge favor and smash that like button. It genuinely helps more parents discover science-backed strategies like these instead of random internet advice. And subscribe if you haven't yet. Hit the bell too, because I'm dropping a follow-up video next week on handling overstimulation in under 60 seconds. Seriously, you won't want to miss it. All right, back to method number 4. This one might be the most powerful of all. Number 4. The sensory grounding station, creating a calm-down corner. That actually works. Let's be honest. Most calm-down corners are just glorified timeout spots that make kids feel punished for having emotions. They sit there, stewing in shame, learning absolutely nothing except that feelings are bad. Montessori teachers create something completely different: sensory grounding stations. These aren't punishment zones. They're self-regulation toolkits. And here's what makes them genius. They engage the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural calming mechanism, through sensory input. Here's what a proper grounding station includes: tactile elements, stress balls, kinetic sand, smooth stones, textured fabric; visual calming, glitter jars, watch them settle; calm down bottles, soft lighting; proprioceptive input, small weights, resistance bands, pushing activities; breathing tools, pinwheels, bubbles, feathers to blow. The teacher explains it to kids before meltdowns happen. This is your special spot for when big feelings come. You can use any of these tools to help your body feel better. I observed a 7-year-old who was furious about losing a game. Instead of being sent away, she chose to go to the grounding station. She shook a glitter jar for 2 minutes, did 3 deep breaths with a pinwheel, and came back completely regulated. The research behind this: occupational therapy studies show that sensory input can reduce emotional distress in children by 70% within 3 to 5 minutes. It's not distraction, it's actual nervous system regulation. But here's what most parents miss: the station only works if you introduce it during calm moments, not during crisis. You can't hand a screaming kid a glitter jar for the first time and expect miracles. I helped my sister create one at home using a cardboard box, some rice in a balloon, DIY stress ball, a jar with glitter and water, and a small stuffed animal. Total cost? $8. Total game changer? Absolutely. Pro move: let your child help create the station. When they have ownership, they're 3 times more likely to use it. Now, all of these techniques are powerful, but there's one method that ties them all together, and it's the one most parents completely overlook. Number 5. The model, don't lecture. Philosophy. Your emotions are the real curriculum. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your kids aren't learning emotional regulation from your words. They're learning from your reactions. You can preach, use your words all day long. But if you're screaming at traffic, slamming doors when you're frustrated, or giving the silent treatment when you're upset, guess what your kids are actually learning? Montessori teachers understand something profound. You cannot teach a skill you don't demonstrate. This is the method I call model, don't lecture, and it's brutally simple. When you feel frustrated, angry, or overwhelmed, you narrate your own regulation process out loud. A teacher I shadowed did this beautifully. A child accidentally knocked over her coffee, all over her lesson plans. I watched her face. She was clearly frustrated, but she took a breath and said, "Oh, wow, I'm feeling frustrated right now. My body feels tense. I'm going to take 3 deep breaths to help myself calm down." She did the breaths, for real, not performatively, then said, "Okay, I feel better now. Accidents happen. Let's clean this up together." Every kid in that room just got a masterclass in emotional regulation, not from a poster on the wall, but from a real human having a real emotion and managing it in real time. The neuroscience, mirror neurons in children's brains literally mimic the emotional regulation patterns they observe in adults. According to Dr. John Gottman's research, children of parents who model healthy emotional expression have 47% fewer behavioral problems. I started doing this with my own frustrations. Traffic jam? I'm feeling impatient right now. I'm going to do some shoulder rolls and put on music I like. Burned dinner? Ugh, I'm disappointed. I'm going to take a minute, then we'll order pizza. My daughter started doing the same thing. Last week she said, "I'm feeling sad my tower fell down. I'm going to take some deep breaths." She's 4. Reality check. This feels awkward at first. You'll feel like you're talking to yourself. Do it anyway. Your kids are watching, learning, and internalizing every single moment. But here's what nobody tells you. Modeling isn't just about the big moments. It's about the tiny, everyday frustrations. The zipper that won't zip. The milk that spills. The toy that won't work. Those are your teaching moments. Now, before we wrap up, I need to address the elephant in the room. You're probably thinking, "This all sounds great, but I'm exhausted. I don't have the energy to whisper and validate and model 24/7. Let me tell you something that every Montessori teacher I interviewed emphasized. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. These methods don't work because they're magical. They work because of repetition and predictability. Your child's brain learns regulation through pattern recognition. When you respond the same way to big emotions, calmly, predictably, supportively, their nervous system learns, "I'm safe. This feeling will pass. I can handle this." One teacher told me, "I mess up constantly. I raise my voice. I get frustrated. But I apologize. I repair. And I try again." That's what kids need to see. Imperfect humans who keep trying. The data backs this up. Research from the Center on the Developing Child at Harvard shows that consistent, responsive caregiving, even if imperfect, builds resilience in children far more effectively than perfect but inconsistent responses. So if you try the whisper technique and end up yelling anyway, apologize. Model repair. "I'm sorry I yelled. I was frustrated, and I didn't use my calm voice. Let's try again." That's still teaching regulation. Final truth bomb. Your kids don't need a perfect parent. They need a present, trying, repairing, consistent one. And here's the beautiful part. Every single one of these methods gets easier with practice. Your brain builds new neural pathways. Your kids' brains build new neural pathways. You're literally rewiring 2 nervous systems simultaneously. The first week? Exhausting. The first month? Challenging. 3 months in, you'll catch yourself naturally validating, offering choices, and whispering without even thinking about it. All right, let's recap the 5 secret methods that Montessori teachers use to calm kids instantly. 1. Name and validate. Label the emotion. Acknowledge the feeling. 2. Choice architecture. Offer 2 acceptable options to restore control. 3. Whisper redirect. Lower your volume to interrupt the tantrum pattern. 4. Sensory grounding station. Create a self-regulation toolkit, not a punishment corner. 5. Model, don't lecture. Show emotional regulation through your own behavior. Now here's my question for you. Which of these 5 methods are you going to try first? The whisper technique or the choice architecture? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one, and I love hearing which strategies resonate with you. And if you found this valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe. We're building a community of parents who want science-backed strategies, not outdated punishment tactics. Ring that bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Speaking of which, these methods work brilliantly for everyday meltdowns. But what about when your child is completely overstimulated? You know those moments. Too much noise, too much activity, total sensory overload. In my next video, I'm revealing how to calm an overstimulated child in 60 seconds with a step-by-step technique that even works in public places. You won't believe how simple it is. Thanks for watching, and remember, you're doing better than you think. See you in the next one.